stores across the UK will now wear body cams after a dramatic rise in shoplifting and in attacks on employees. TikTok and other social media sites have been accused of encouraging users to swap tips on how to loot and pillage stores. Bosses say the situation is so bad they've had to warn investors it's affecting store budgets and stock levels. Joining me on the programme, Andrew Goodacre, CEO of the British Retailers Association. Andrew, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. I mean, we talk about shoplifting now on this programme almost every day. We've gone from a situation where we might have mentioned it maybe once or twice a year to talking about it on this regular basis because it seems to have achieved epidemic proportions. Is it purely because of the cost of living crisis, or are there other reasons for this?
Well, you're right to use the word epidemic and talking about it every day, because that's exactly how I feel about it as well. Our members are constantly telling me how difficult it is becoming to manage shops on high streets. The cause of it, many retailers will cite the fact that for too long, retail crime or shoplifting was classed by the authorities as a low impact, victimless crime. But it's now, as we're seeing, a low risk, high reward crime for the perpetrators. And if it goes unpunished for too long, then I'm afraid people do take real advantage. And that's what we fear is happening here. We have, on top of the usual crime from people who have addictions and chaotic lives, there seems to be a more organised element to some of the to some of the organised shoplifting impact on the shops on the high street.
I mean, certainly we're talking about Primark today. Just a few weeks ago, we were talking about the Co-op saying, you know, there are kind of gangs that break in. They've got balaclavas. They've got some kind of club or object with which to smash things up. The staff, quite rightly, are scared stiff. And then they call the police and the police don't come. There's no response from the police, they say. Will the wearing of body cams make any difference to any of this? Will the police show any interest?
Well, the police have to show interest. I was at a meeting last week in Tewkesbury, which is a lovely small town in the Cotswolds, and it too has this problem of this huge increase in theft. Now, a lot of small retailers can't invest in the sort of body cam technology that Primark or Marks and Spencer's or the supermarkets may invest in. So the police do have to show real interest and a real determination to solve the problem. And what retailers really want is stronger and more consistent police presence on the street throughout the UK. We have to show the perpetrators that they can't just get away with it scot-free, and that has to happen with police presence. And then when people are arrested, that the punishment fits the crime.
And people are still reeling from the JD Sports situation at Oxford Circus, where social media was used to whip up a crowd of young people in balaclavas and God knows what to go and raid and loot JD Sports. The police really did turn out in force to try to prevent that. But I mean, you can't have that kind of level of profile and that level of turnout every day in every high street throughout the country. So no. it looks like a bleak scenario. I mean, literally yesterday morning, I was at a supermarket. It happened to be Tesco. I know other supermarkets are available. That's one of the ones closest to me. I was standing at the checkout waiting to be checked out, not the self-checkout. There was another till open next to me. And I heard the guy who was doing the checking out say to the customer next to me, "And what about the pastries?" And the customer kind of flinched and went back, and I looked over, obviously. And he said, "What about the pastries?" And this guy had hidden various pastries from Tesco underneath the other thing. So he was paying for something at the top of the bag, but not for the pastries and other things secreted at the bottom of the bag. I saw that yesterday morning. When that sort of thing happens, obviously he's not part of an organised gang. He didn't have a balaclava. He wasn't smashing anything up. He wasn't scary. But then you wonder, is it because he's hungry? Is it because he couldn't afford the pastries? Is it because he's wily? Is he a terrible person? What should have happened to someone like him? What did happen? Was it the guy doing the checkout stepped up and said, "What's in your bag? What about the pastries?" and made the guy pay for them? But you can imagine lots of people wouldn't have spotted it. Lots of sales assistants and retail staff wouldn't have done that, would they?
No, and the general advice of staff is not to challenge, especially if they fear that there might be violence caused on them as a result of that. Now, clearly, there's always been an element of shoplifting. There's always been there. And it's been people who have difficult lives, often addicted to drugs or alcohol, that are doing that. We also have a cost of living crisis, and there is some evidence possibly that people are taking desperate measures to deal with that. But the increase, the level of crime that we're seeing is clearly on a more organised nature. And we do need to address some of the low-level incidents that occurred, the one you described. I think the member of staff at Tesco said did the right thing to challenge at that point and embarrass a person into paying. Maybe they were being opportunistic because they've heard for too long that it's easy to shoplift and no one challenges you, so it's easy to do it. And this is where we need police, this is where we need retailers as well to come together, work together, so that people do not see it as an easy crime. It should not be easy, and if you do get caught, there should be relevant punishments.
I mean, the fact that Primark is warning its shareholders this could affect dividends, this could affect profits, this is a really big deal. It can affect stock because people are stealing such enormous amounts and copious amounts of goods that we can't replenish them in time. I mean, that's where you see firsthand this is not a victimless crime, and also it's every one of us who's going to end up having to pay for it, isn't it?
Absolutely. It has never been a victimless crime, whether it's a large retailer or small retailer. Stock going missing is equivalent to cash going missing. It's cash being converted into goods effectively. So it's cash and it needs replacing, and that costs money. So it really does damage the business. And to a small retailer, it could be the end of their business if it gets out of hand. So this is a major consideration now for the relevant authorities. We need police, we need the magistrates, we need local authorities, and we need the large companies to come together and work a way so that we can put it back on the agendas for the police and crime commissioners and the chief constables around the country, so that they see business crime as a genuine victim crime and one that needs addressing in the right way.
Thank you very much.